Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Red, White, and Ruthless presented by Nickel City Mafia, where their slogan is "Our family business in football is football." My partner in crime today is going to be Sean Kula of the Red, White, and Bills. Glad to be back with him again. I will try and adjust my camera. Having a little issue with that camera. We'll try and get it adjusted as the show goes on. But Sean, how you doing today, bud?
Doing good. How about you?
Dude, cannot complain. If you're watching in the channel, just let us know how we sound, how we look, number one. If there's any issues that you see on the channel, let us know. We greatly appreciate it. We're going with a different background today. We do have the Bills flag behind me. Had a little bit of comments about the flag, so we wanted to make sure that it looks good. And a couple people wanted to see the flag in the background because Sean has the flag as well. So we wanted to match this week, but hopefully we sound good and everything. I do want to get into a couple of quick things. Sean was the one that brought this one up. He mentioned the amount of respect that both teams have had with each other throughout the week between the Giants and the Bills, and a lot of the similarities that we have with a lot of coaches and GMs as well coming from the Buffalo Bills. So we wanted to get over to the Bills and talk about the two press conferences between Josh Allen and Brian Daboll. We'll start with Brian Daboll's press conference first. It's about a minute and a half long, but we'll get into that press conference first, and then we'll get into the Josh Allen one after.
On how similar does it look to when you were there? Does it look different much to you? Like, what do you see?
Yeah, I mean, that's a system he's been in for 6 years. This is his 6th year in the system. Got a lot of respect for Dorse. Obviously, he adds his own flavor to it. Are there a lot of things that are similar? Sure, but that's from a quarterback that's been in the system for now his 6th year. But they advance. Dorse adds his things. They got new coaches. They've done a good job. But he's one of the top players in the league. He's been that way for a long time, and he makes the engine go.
There was a lot of talk last year, like he missed you. That his play dipped because you weren't there. What did you think when you heard that?
Josh Allen's an unbelievable player, one of the best in the league. You can put him in probably any offense, and he's going to produce. So, I missed him as a person. We're close, but as a player, he's a heck of a player. You put on any tape, he's exceptional at everything. He can run, but he can throw it, and he can throw it wherever he needs to throw it. 80 yards down the field, drop a dime, on the move to the right, put it back across his body, scramble, back up, scramble around, throw it out, throw it on time. He's got significant playmakers in terms of Diggs and Davis, who I have familiarity with, who are unbelievable players. Dawson Knox, they had a Dalton. They got 3 good runners. Our offensive line is intact, but he's a special player. He's one of the best in the league.
Dave, you know what that area is like?
And he makes you better as a play caller too. So he's one of a kind.
A lot of respect coming from Coach Daboll to the Buffalo Bills. A lot of time that he spent up here in Buffalo, few years that he spent, and a lot of memories that we do have with Brian Daboll. We sure miss him quite a bit as a Buffalo guy and somebody that you can tell just admires the city of Buffalo and everything about the Buffalo Bills football team. Let's get over to the Josh Allen comments on Brian Daboll as well.
Do you want to talk about the video first?
If you want to, I was going to do it after both of them and then get into it.
I was going to say, just so it's not like if you have a thought, you don't want to forget it in between. So unless you want to wait, it's up to you. No matter.
It's up to you, man. The biggest things that I take out of it is, just how classy that Brian Daboll is. That's the one thing I really look at in that. And I think that, not only did Brian Daboll help Josh Allen's career quite a bit, and the amount of respect that he has for Josh Allen, that's shown right there. I think that they would be a great tandem to have back together, but unfortunately, Daboll is the head coach of the New York Giants. Don't know for how long, though. That could change, as the years go on, but I would say that he's probably comfortable coming back to Buffalo eventually if that ever happens and he ends up getting fired from the Giants, but we'll see when that happens.
Yeah, first thing the dumbass reporter that said Josh Allen's played dip when you left, when it actually was better than when Daboll was here. Not that it was much different. I mean, he's been a top quarterback for the last going on 4 years now. So that reporter was a moron for saying that. I don't know who it was, but yeah, dumb. There is such thing as dumb questions and dumb statements. I do them sometimes too. But one thing he did say that I want the whole Bills Mafia to understand is when they talked about the Bills offense, and he mentioned how Dorsey does put his spin on it. However, this is a system about Josh Allen. So when people always say this is the same offense, that's because it has to be, because it's Josh Allen's offense. It's not because Dorsey can't think of anything. It's because this is what Josh Allen likes to do, and this is what Josh Allen makes him comfortable. So yeah, Dorsey does put a spin on it, and yeah, there's a lot of similar things, but that's because that's what it's designed for. Daboll started to create a system that worked for Josh Allen and made Josh Allen succeed. So why go away from things that make Josh Allen succeed because you're a new offensive coordinator? Dorsey was also in that system. You know what I mean? So obviously there's going to be things that are similar, just like a lot of things the Giants do are similar to what we did.
Right.
And, so that's why I don't think there's people mention there's like Daboll has an advantage in this game because he knows Josh. He does know Josh, but McDermott also knows Daboll too. So I don't think it's I don't think it's as big of a deal as people are making it seem to be, especially because they're so banged up. If they were fully healthy, maybe I could see like a closer game than expected. But, with how banged up they are, I can't imagine them keeping it close. But I did like when he said that, because a lot of people have been questioning Dorsey's play calling. But you have to remember, this is Josh, whether Dorsey's calling the plays or not, they have to make it good for Josh Allen, because Josh Allen's what wins us games. So if they're calling plays that he doesn't like or he doesn't succeed in, yeah, there could be a different creative new play, but it's not going to win us games because Josh Allen needs to be able to execute it. So I'm fine with a lot of things being similar and Dorsey putting a little bit of a spin on it once in a while. But I appreciate that he said that. And then, just how much he's talking about Josh and how good he is. That's all. You could tell he's saying that stuff, not just because he coached him, but because that's the truth. And then he mentioned how he makes you a better coordinator. And, someone on a different show commented saying how he was throwing shade at Dorsey for that. And I think the guy was laughing and they thought it was a joke. But to me, what he's saying is it doesn't matter who you are. You're going to be able to be seen as a good coordinator in this offense because of Josh Allen. And if anything, he was taking a jab at himself too, because he said he makes you a better coordinator. So, that's why I wasn't worried when Dorsey came in, because I knew that because we have Josh Allen, that our offense is going to look good. So unless you're completely inept and maybe if I went out there and was the offensive coordinator, I was never a coordinator or a coach or anything. So maybe I wouldn't be great for them, but I'm sure we wouldn't be dead last. I can tell you that much. We wouldn't be the worst offense in the league. So, but yeah, I mean, just giving, and that's what a leader does too. He obviously he's smart. Obviously he knows how to call an offense, but he was a leader of a team, and he said, hey, he makes you better at what you do. And that's the ultimate job of a leader. When I was in charge of soldiers, my job was to make them better than me. And if I didn't make my soldiers that are underneath me better than me, then I failed. So saying stuff like he makes you a better leader, a better coordinator, I appreciate that too. I don't think he made Josh Allen. Some people do, but I think they both helped each other out. So yeah, if you want to go to Josh now.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with what you're saying, Sean. And I almost said Josh because you look like Josh Allen. I know you've gotten that a little bit lately. So, but no, I completely agree with what you're saying. And I think that he's been such not only a mentor to Josh Allen, but I think that they are close friends, you can tell. And the relationship is great. And then I loved what you're going to see in the next interview, which was Josh Allen talking about Brian Daboll. And he's talking about Daboll and what he has to do to change things up. And this interview is really great because they talk about the similarities that not only Brian Daboll's offense is to Ken Dorsey's, but what they have to do to change up the code words and stuff like that, because Dorsey and Dable have very similar systems, and we'll see what different code words they're going to use. One of the code words we heard last week, LeBron James, probably won't be used this week. I think that's going to be a play that they're going to save for another week, but we'll see what
I never heard that before, so I don't think that was a day ball thing. So maybe
that
was again.
That was just something that they said last week in the game.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I never heard that before, so.
But we'll see what different code words we're going to hear this week. But let's get into the Josh Allen.
I like John Roberts' comment there too. We'll get into that too. We'll get into that too, John.
Let me see what he said here. He said,
Facebook, yeah.
But they didn't question Dorsey after the Miami game. Yes.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Don't worry. We'll get into that.
We'll get into it. We will get into the comments after the Josh Allen video. I see a bunch of comments coming in here. Bills fan CA, Jessica Tennis, Mad Chatter. Really do appreciate you guys for coming on.
Tuning in.
As well as Alan Podger and then John Robert. We will get to your questions in just a second and comments as well. But let's get into the Josh Allen interview real quick.
Meant so much to me in my football career and in my life for that matter. So excited to see him.
How much of what you learned from him do you still carry with you today?
I mean, a lot. I think, when you look at the grand scheme of things in terms of football and, how to handle, being a quarterback in this league, relying on the knowledge that he has and the guys that he's been around in his career. I spent a lot of time with him. But, I mean, there's been a lot of people that have had their hands in the pie and the success that we've had here in Buffalo. And, first and foremost for me, it was him first, and just making sure that we were on the same page and talking about certain things. And, and they know a lot of our offense. I mean, it's basically the same offense. We've done quite a few different things, though, with Dorsey here. So, we got to be ready to go on Sunday.
How much of the offense, like when you look at what they're doing versus what you're doing, like how much of it is like, oh, I do recognize that, like is it a large?
I mean, it's in terms of what they're doing. There's a lot of stuff that we used to do. Now we've done a good job of switching things up, and Dorsey's done a good job of rolling with what the league's doing and trying to figure out what these defenses are doing. The league as a defensive. And the schematics of things has changed over the last couple of years. Not seeing as much junk Tampa anymore. It's more of a quarters shell, playing some palms on the outside. So we've been, trying to roll with that and change with that. But in terms of, code words and all that stuff, we're going to have to change some things because I'm sure that those DBs and people have heard what we've said. Maybe they've switched.
Well, there you have it. There's a lot of stuff that Josh Allen points out that we're going to have to figure out on Sunday. And I absolutely love what he's saying about having to change up the code words and stuff like that, because there is a lot of players that came over from not only the Bills, but also with the Giants as well. So you got a bunch of people that were not only practice squad players. Matt Breida played for the Buffalo Bills. Trying to think of who else. Nick McLeod. You got Isaiah Hodgins. Even Cole Beasley, who's on Tommy Sweeney. There's a bunch of guys. I even thought of John Feliciano, but unfortunately he's with the San Francisco 49ers now. But I was thinking of him too. And even Joe, the GM Joe, I think it's Schlem is how you say it. Same. That's right. You're right. So you got a bunch of people that came over. The offensive coordinator came over from the Buffalo Bills as well. So very similar offenses, but I don't really see a lot of similarities between the offense of Brian Dable and Ken Dorsey's. I think that Dorsey has ran a different personnel, which I absolutely love. And we'll get into it a little bit later in the show. But we've talked about this new personnel that he is bringing out, 12 personnel, where you have more of the tight ends getting used on the field compared to the the Brian Dable style, where it's more of trying to rely on Josh Allen and bring the wide receivers out wide further and use more wide receivers sets. This is more of a tight end set for the Buffalo Bills right now. And they're utilizing the run game a little bit more as well. They didn't utilize the run game as much with with Brian Dable. I get the two confused. Dorsey, Dable, very similar names, but this is a different offense that we're seeing right now. And the similarities, I wish we could pull up the numbers between the Ken Dorsey years and the Brian Dable years, but they're both right near the top of the offensive leaderboards over the past few years, and they were second last year, and this year they're going to be in a new set. I want to get to this comment from Alan. He said, I would really like Josh to call his own plays for one quarter and see what happens. That would be interesting. I wonder what type of plays he would like to call, but there comes a point where you have too much say in the offense, and that's something that Buffalo is going to have to rely on and figure out what they want to do with that, with the Buffalo Bills. So, Sean, I want to get into this comment from Alan Podger and see what your thoughts are. Do you think that Josh Allen should call the plays?
I mean, I think he has the freedom to. I just think he chooses not to. So, I mean, if you're a top 3 quarterback in the NFL and, you know, you're basically not able to call your own plays, I think that should be alarming. I think he's allowed to. He just doesn't. I think he sticks to trusting what the coaches do. Part of that, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's because he's such good friends with Dorsey that he feels like, oh, I'll disrespect him if I go against what he says. But he does change things sometimes. Like instead of running a pass play, he'll audible to a run up the middle. We get no gain and stuff like that. So he does do it once in a while, but he should be able to do that on his own. And I know it's like that, like if you think of like a Peyton Manning type of play calling, that's like a 10-year, you know, progression. Like he's not gonna be able to come out and do that, you know, right away. But eventually he should be able to, by year 10, be able to look at the line of scrimmage, call out every single thing that he sees and what they're doing, and then change a play every single time at the line of scrimmage. And even Mahomes can't do that now. It's just like you have to be able to mature. This is what will separate those quarterbacks in the future. So Peyton Manning-esque, not yet, but he should be able to, you know, run plays that he wants and thinks that are better. So like if it's 3rd and 15 and Dorsey runs a zone, a shotgun run up the middle, he should be able to say, yeah, I'm not doing that. All right, guys, we're gonna do this, that on 3, go, and then change it. But I feel like he just trusts in what they do, so he just runs with it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. I do want to get to some of the other comments. I want to start off with Bills fan CA, who started off the show saying, let's go, the most ruthless show out there. Completely agree with you there. Jessica Tennis coming in saying too funny as well. A few thumbs up. People saying that they love the new background. Alan said that it sounds good, but the look is not so good. I think that he's mentioning the beers maybe, or he's talking about my background wasn't as good. It wasn't as clear. So
no, hopefully joking saying that we don't look, he said we sound good, but maybe we don't look too good.
I think he was talking about me because I was a little blurry too. So we'll see what he meant by that. Hopefully he comes in with another comment. Good comment here from Mad Chatter saying that AJ Klein was activated. We'll get into a couple of the other transactions that happened today. I'll get into them now, actually. Let's talk about the Balin Spector getting called up. He's back healthy and back on the active roster after missing a lot of time. And we also had Jamarcus Ingram elevated from the practice squad to the active roster this week for the game, which is going to be great to see. And then we did have 2 players that went on the injured reserve for right now in Daquan Jones as well as Matt Milano. So we'll see what happens if they do come out and play later in the year, but that's to be determined, as Sean McDermott said. But their season
don't expect it.
Don't expect it, but Sean McDermott hasn't ruled out them being done for the season, so that's great to know. Bills fan CA said sounds good.
Bills Mafia CA.
Matt Chatter said you sound good, looking sharp. Appreciate that. UBDB Corp ready. Completely love that. Jessica Tennis said that she's super happy we have some depth on this
Great
team.
Point.
Agree. That's a great statement that she made here. Matt Chatter mentioning the Bills CEO and one other executive fired. It was 2 weeks. executive.
I think you mentioned that last time.
We did mention that last time. Matt Chatter coming in with good evening, Miss Finn or Miss Tennis. I'm sorry, I always get these names wrong. Miss Finn, another great person, but not incognito right now for our channel. We'll see if she comes in later on. Josh Allen needs to be more goated this week.
Mm-hmm.
John Robert coming in about the Miami question as well. Tyrod Taylor, that's a great point that Matt Chatter made, getting into a lot of things that we're going to talk about later in the show. Tyrod Taylor will be the starting quarterback for the New York Giants this week, with Daniel Jones being out. And then we mentioned this comment about the Josh Allen calling his own plays as well. Not sure what John Robert means here, if he accidentally hit his finger on the button too quickly, but that's to be determined. Maybe he's a little having a couple of drinks during the show and just accidentally on there. You know,
it's always calling people alcoholics now.
Hey, maybe, you never know. This is a great call from Allen. Kelly did a good job of that with calling the plays as well. Completely
pull up Matt Chatter's last comment quick. So I've been watching a lot of Panthers podcasts. I know it's random, but there's one channel that does a great job, and they always talk. Nobody there wants Jeremy Chinn on their team. They basically call him a positionless player on their team. So he's too small to play linebacker, and he's too slow to play safety. But he's like a Jamal Adams. So he's a box playing defender. He's bad in coverage, but I mean, hey, if you could throw a 7th round pick and grab him, why not? But I just think maybe that's not somebody we should be going after if a team that's 0-5, that's horrible, doesn't want him on their team. And they're all banged up on defense too. So I'm not too sure. I mean, I wouldn't hate it, I guess, but where would you put him at this point?
Right. Unless there's an injury or something like that, then that's
they
what I
have Laviska Shenault playing running back. Remember Laviska Shenault, the wide receiver that the Jags drafted? He's getting reps at running back. So they're kind of just all over the place. But yeah, I mean, I don't hate Chin. You know, Chin is, you know, athletic and stuff, but maybe he just needs a change of scenery. But I don't know.
No,
we'll see.
I don't see Buffalo.
Well, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt that that's a rumor.
No, I don't see Buffalo going after him, especially with having Taylor Rapp as well as Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer right now. I just don't see them going after him. I think that it just doesn't make sense. If one of them was out for a while, I know that Matt Chatter's saying that Poyer's on fumes. I don't see that. I just think that he just is having to play differently this year with Tre White being out right now and having to really step up in the secondary. It's just different.
I mean, I think Poyer and Hyde are done next year. I mean, they're just, I don't know. I think I don't know. It's just hard to say. But if you could grab Chin for cheap and then have him as a backup, and then you got him and Taylor Rapp as backups, and then you could groom Chin to be what you want in your defense, maybe he would be better here. And then it's funny, Matt Chatter brought up Frankie Louvu. I was listening to Mafia Sports Report like last week, and I've been listening to the Panthers podcast and stuff a lot. And so I know about Frankie Louvu, and then they were just talking. I was driving, I was listening. And then I was like, yeah, because they were talking about trades for linebacker when Milano got hurt. I said, yeah, maybe I was thinking in my head while I was driving. I said, maybe Frankie Louvu would be a good option at linebacker. And then like 5 minutes later, they were talking about maybe that some other Bills channel mentioned Frankie Louvu, and I was like, oh, of course. As soon as I think of something, it's already someone else thought of it. So
right.
But we didn't forget DeMar and Cam. They're just not. I don't know. I mean, DeMar wasn't great in coverage either. So I mean, he's not active on game days now unless there's an injury. So I think a guy like Jeremy Chin, you know, you see what happens next year. But I don't hate DeMar or Cam Lewis. They're just, you know, they're just so. I like DeMar's tackling ability. He's probably similar to Jeremy Chin.
Yeah.
Not that great in coverage, but, you know, really good in run defense. So, I mean, like I said, but I don't know what Hyde and Poyer's future is. So if you were to want to bring in a guy like Chin for a 7th round pick, then I wouldn't hate that, I guess, because you still got Poyer, Hyde, and Rapp. And then if one of them goes next year, then you have Rapp, Hamlin, and Chin. So I don't know. I wouldn't hate that, but
Yeah, I think that this is a really good comment though that Matt Chatter makes is DeMar needs some work. I would say that he does need some work. He's a lot like a flower, needs to blossom a little bit more, and there's
got a lot of potential.
There's a lot of potential that he has, and I don't like using that P word that we have to throw $5 in the bucket for every time that we use it. But we're off of that now. We are allowed to use it right now, but I don't want to get into using that word too much. But there's a lot of promise that you can see with him, and I think he's going to get better. And I would love for him to take over and learn from not only Micah Hyde, but Jordan Poyer, Taylor Rapp, and take over the position. But there's a lot of uncertainty as well. And you could see Buffalo moving guys like Kaiir Elam to the safety position, which is a possibility that they could do if that's an option that they want to go with. But we'll see what's going on there. We did have another comment that came in from John Robert. I wanted to get into that one as well. He was talking about his big fingers as well, so I wanted to get into that one, saying that he was on his phone. Hopefully nobody is watching the show while driving. If you are commenting it while driving, please make sure that you're at a stop. Don't want anybody to get hurt out there. I really do want everybody to be safe. Jessica Tennis saying she is driving as well. Please be safe while you're watching the show. We don't want anybody to get hurt whatsoever, guys. So please be safe while you're watching the show. But let's get into another comment that we had earlier. We were talking about the tight end position for the Buffalo Bills. And I think basically this show is going to be about the similarities and differences between the offense of the Bills right now with Brian Dable gone and having Ken Dorsey in place now. Let's talk about the tight ends. And there's been some question marks this week coming into the game on if Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid are going to play in this game. But Sean, you brought up something that you wanted to mention to the folks about the amount of times, and I wish we would have gotten the press conference where Josh Allen was talking about it.
I think it was the same.
We were talking about.
I think it was the same press conference.
I just
don't know where in the press conference he said it.
I didn't see it in there. Maybe they took it out or something like that. But I mean, I didn't see it in this one. But you're talking about the amount of times that Josh Allen wouldn't look at the tight end position and he would go to the wide receivers. And I'd like for you to elaborate on that, and not only elaborate on that, but you may have some film that you want to show as well. If that's something that you want to do, let's get into it, man. I'd love to see what you have to say on this.
So that press conference, somebody asked Josh about the tight ends being involved in the offense. And then in not so many words, he says, yeah, Dorsey does a good job of getting Knox and Kincaid both looked at in the first read in a play design. However, the defense does a great job of taking them out of the play. And then he said also it would take away from Diggs and Davis getting the football. So I see a lot of people out there complaining about Dorsey not getting the tight ends involved. I'm a business owner, right? I have nobody that works for me, but say I had an employee, say Brett was my employee, and we're both on a job right now. I say, Brett, make sure you get all the baseboards in the bedroom here, and then I'm gonna go check it in about 10 minutes and see how you're doing or whatever. And he says, okay, sounds good. Then in 10 minutes, he's in the bedroom on his phone, watching videos or something. The play design was go clean the baseboards, and instead he chose to sit on his phone and watch videos instead of doing the work. That's a similar thing with being a play caller. So if Dorsey says, here's the play, Kincaid is going to be the first read because he's going to be open here, and then Josh doesn't look his way and then throws it to Diggs instead, that's not Dorsey's fault. It's Josh's fault. Josh is a quarterback. So if Josh isn't throwing them the football, you don't think Dorsey wants to get his weapons involved? If they didn't want them involved, they wouldn't be on the field. So, like, I get Dorsey has his issues. He calls dumb run plays once in a while. You know, you can say that about any offensive coordinator, but to throw no blame whatsoever at Josh and to no onus to him that he needs to be able to get these guys to football. It's on him completely because they're open a lot. I mean, I've watched, a little bit of I always watch the film over again, but I actually focused on Knox and Kincaid. So I'll ask the chat while I'm still talking. If you guys want to watch, 20 minutes or so of us on offense in the Jags game, and we can look at all of us at the same time, how many times both Kincaid and Dawson Knox were open on a route that they didn't get the ball, then we could start thinking maybe it isn't Dorsey's fault. Maybe Josh just isn't getting them the football. Because what I noticed a lot in the Jags game, especially, he had in his mind who he was throwing to. So he hikes the ball, he looks directly to his right, and the people on the left are open, and he just throws it to Diggs on the right side. So he knew in his mind before the play even started, I'm throwing it to Stephon Diggs here. And then, no, it doesn't have to be 3 thumbs up, just if some people want to watch.
I was just trying to see if anybody wanted to watch it. So I was looking at the number of people that we had in the chat. So
no, I get it. Yeah. So if you guys want to,
I was kidding around when I said that, but
we can get into it for a few minutes.
If we get a couple thumbs up that come in and they want to watch the film, just let us know. We'll get into that. But
it's just like I get it. Coaching is important, but at the same time, it's like this is grown man football. So if the coach says, here's the play, Kincaid is going to be the first read, he's open, and then Josh says, yeah, it's okay, I'm going to throw the which I want you to get the ball to your best player. All I'm really saying is let's just not blame Dorsey for everything when we lose. Or if you do that, when we win, don't give Josh all the credit, give Dorsey the credit because he called the offense that won the game. That's all I'm saying is you have to do it both the same either way. Either give them all the same credit and discredit, or, you just got to be consistent with it because, Dorsey doesn't have the best play calls every once in a while. Everybody makes mistakes, McDermott calls bad defenses once in a while. Andy Reid calls bad offenses once in a while. You know what I mean? So,
right.
Steve Belichick calls bad defenses once in a while. It just happens. So, I don't want everyone to think that everything's on Dorsey because he does call the plays, but Josh is making $300 million to throw the football. So,
right.
We'll go into it a little bit because we don't want to bore you guys out and have everybody leave. Because I know Bills fan CA isn't a big X's and O's guy, so he might be turning it off here. But
I'm hoping he doesn't.
Yeah, so we'll go back and Brett can keep the comments up while I'm trying to get this started.
I'm going to go over the comments real quick.
There's a couple out there, so read them while I'm getting this.
So I'm just going to read this one from Jessica Tennis. In my opinion, all the Bills need to do is strap on their big boy pants and run it down their throats of the depleted Giants defensive line. Completely agree with what she's saying there. That's going to be a really good point and the key to the game for what the Bills need to do this week. Matt Chatter saying Shakira is hanging on by a thread. If I ran show, I completely agree. Let's see what else we have here. We have Matt Chatter coming in again with another comment about Devontae Adams in the locker room. That's another interesting question. We'll see. I'm not really sure how he is in the locker room, but we'll see. That would be an interesting move for the Bills to make, but I just don't think they have the cap room to do it.
We got to remember with like I like that Singleton from the Broncos too, but Milano will be back next year more than likely. So if we're going to get anybody, it's got to be like a cheap rental because you are going to be giving up draft capital because, Milano will be back and then the Broncos won't just release Singleton and then have you get him. So, we're going to have to give up something and we also need capital too because we don't have much money. So one thing I do want to mention before we get into this film, I've been saying for years, the great teams that are competing for Super Bowls always make a big trade at the deadline. And we never do. We never do, right? Now people are asking for it even more, but it's too damn late now because we have no cap money and there's 8 good teams in the AFC that can win a Super Bowl. So you should have done it last year or the year before when it was just the Bills, Chiefs, and Bengals.
Right.
Now you got Bills, Bengals, Chiefs, Ravens, Jags, Broncos, Chargers, Dolphins. They got 8 teams that can win a Super Bowl or get to one. And now you want to try to make a big trade. Now it's too late because you can make a big trade now and still lose. But if you did it in years past, you had a better chance of actually getting past the top and winning. So I don't think he's going to make a big move, and it's a little bit too late, in my opinion, to make a big move. So, yeah, that's my opinion on that. So whenever you guys are ready.
I'm going to get into a couple more comments real quick,
Yeah,
Sean.
let me know when to press play because I can't see the screen now.
No worries, man. So there's a comment here from Mad Chatter talking about the PFF and how high Daquan Jones was among defensive tackles. He was number 1 in pressure rate for defensive tackles, which is something that's very important. Surely going to be missed by the Buffalo Bills, and it'll be interesting to see the next man up mentality that the Bills are going to have with guys like Tim Settle and Poona Ford, as well as Jordan Phillips. 2 of those guys in Jordan Phillips and Tim Settle playing out of position, that kind of worries me. Poona Ford's probably going to get the start there. I wouldn't be surprised by that. Pretty much when you're playing the one tech position, which is where Daquan Jones was playing, you need to be a big physical guy that can take on double teams and really free up guys like Ed Oliver and free up the outside for Von Miller and Greg Rousseau, AJ Epinesa, Shaq Lawson, those guys, to really get to the quarterback, even Kingsley Jonathan. You got to free up other guys around you. So I'm looking at Poona Ford to really step up this week. That's going to be something that we have to see, especially with Buffalo not calling up another defensive tackle this week when they had Kendall Vickers that was called up last week. They didn't call anybody up this week. So that's interesting to see what Buffalo is going to do at the defensive tackle position. And then same exact thing that we're going to see with the linebackers as well. Buffalo has to figure out the next man up mentality with the linebackers. We saw Tyrell Dodson last week, Dorian Williams as well. And then you're going to sprinkle in guys like AJ Klein in there as well, and Balin Spector as well. So we'll see what happens there and what the Bills decide to do at that position. Other comments I want to get into real quick. Matt Chatter saying didn't even think about Dorsey, as well as Morning Mayan Linda West saying that I'm okay with Diggs getting all the darn balls. I'm not. I think he's taking over. He has 60% of the offensive production for the Buffalo Bills right now this season.
I'm not sure. I know he's got 38 catches, about 520 yards and 5 touchdowns, and then Davis has 18 catches for 200 yards less than Diggs, and he has 4 touchdowns. So, yeah. Inconsistent. But like I said, I'm a big proponent in getting the best player of the football. But it's going to come a time like the Bengals game last year where they take your best player away, and then your secondary weapons have to step up. And that's why I'm looking at not only am I going to be watching the film as I normally do, but now I really have to watch every single route to make sure Josh is actually looking through progressions, because he does have time to throw the football. Whether people want to believe it or not, Josh was pressured on 13 of his 40-something dropbacks, which is 30% of the time.
Right.
That was a bad day, and that's only 30% of the time. So 70% of the time, Josh had time and a clean pocket to do whatever he wanted to do or needed to do. So, we got to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Let me know when you want me to start.
Yep, I'm just going to go with these last few real quick from Trek Reviewer. Can't wait to see when Justin Shorter comes back. I think he's probably going to be done for the year.
Yeah, he's not even injured, I bet. They just want to stash him on the injury reserve until –
I didn't want to say that.
If somebody gets hurt, they'll call him up, but he's probably got to stay there the whole year.
Mad Chatter saying that sounds like it's more like a year for Milano than a career injury. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, if it was the ACL too, then it would have been different, but he should be back next year with no problem. I don't know if they did a surgery yet, though.
I don't believe they have. I haven't seen anything online.
Yeah, so they'll know more. They'll know more once they conduct the surgery. If some more, so quick story. When I tore my MCL when I was a senior playing football, and originally the doctors and the MRI showed that I just had a bone bruise. And then I was still having, unstable when I walked and like things like that. So I went to a physical therapist, and then she examined my leg. And I bowled in the winter, so it was football, bowling, baseball. My left leg is my plant foot for bowling, and she was examining my leg, and she was like, doing all the testing for it. And then she said, "Well, you did actually tear your MCL. MCL, isn't as detrimental as an ACL though." But she was like, "If you didn't come to me and we didn't rehab you, you would have went to bowl one of these times. You have a 16-pound ball. You put all your weight onto your foot or onto that one leg." She said you would have blew your whole entire knee out, your PCL, ACL, MCL, all those ligaments. I would have tore every single one of them eventually because I didn't take care of it. So the doctors who actually did the MRI, who are very intelligent, went to school for a long time, didn't think there was a problem. And then as soon as and this was it wasn't like this therapist was trying to scam money out of us. She was a family friend who was been with my family for years and years.
Right.
So it was just more of like a please double check thing. And, and I could tell there was a problem because that was my body. So, yeah, I didn't when it first happened, I didn't it just felt numb and everything. Well, it was also cold that night too. So I just couldn't move my leg. And I was just like, damn. I was laying on the ground. I was like, of course. And my coach goes, "Can you go back in?" Because we were Iron Men. We only had 19 kids on the team. So I was playing defense, offense, special teams, everything. So, yeah. It was on a kick return.
Jeez. That's crazy. Yeah. But John, let's get into the film review real quick.
Sure. Okay. We won't do the whole thing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna watch the plays where there's Knox and Kincaid, and I think there's just Knox here, and then just watch Knox and Kincaid when you see them, and we're gonna see no matter how quick the route is or anything, if they get open at all, we count that as being open. And being open is, I guess up to interpretation, but you can have your own count in your head if you want. I'm going to count whatever I think's open, and you guys can do the same. This is just a run play, so skip that.
It's the same play.
Yep. I just like to look again. But here we go. I think that's Davis and then Knox. And Kincaid too.
Yep.
So they were both open, but he threw to Diggs. And yeah, I know it was quick, but all these three were all open. Is this an accurate statement?
Yeah.
These three were all open, but Diggs was more open, but
yeah, Kincaid is kind of covered, I would say, in my opinion. There looks like
I think he still has good leverage though here. If Josh was looking at him and threw him the ball because he's coming this way, Jackrabbit's kind of like sitting still. So I count them both as being open on that one. So, in the both category, they're both open on that play, in my opinion. And check the chat too.
Yep.
But it was also a very quick pass. So in Josh's mind, we'll see if he looks at any progression or he just stuck with Diggs the whole time. No, he just looked at Diggs the whole time. So there you go. You notice that? Which is fine. Again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to throw the stuff on Diggs. It's a perfect thing. But everyone's blaming Dorsey that the tight ends aren't involved when Josh was looking to the left the entire time.
Right.
In the route.
Well, I heard a rumor that Josh Allen has Diggs on his fantasy team, so that's probably why.
If you're not playing for money, he can have whoever he wants. That's what I had him feeling because he was talking about fantasy before. He's like, not for money or anything. I think Knox is. I don't think he. I think just Knox was on the play here. But I don't think he was open anyway. No. Okay, so in the first three plays, Kincaid and Knox are both open on one of the plays. Now let's skip to my Lou ahead. Man, can you imagine if we get the 10-sack Jordan Phillips again?
Yeah.
That'd be incredible. The way that Oliver's playing, if you got Jordan Phillips getting like he was in 2019.
I mean, that would be crazy. I would love to see that.
That'd be insane. Sorry, I got to do a lot of skipping. Okay, hold on. And this is a shitty run play again. I do want to show this to you guys though. How horrible these blocks were, and it wasn't on the offensive line. Okay. So you got the 12, you got 12 personnel, you got Kincaid on the line. Look how small he looks compared to and you got Knox off the line of scrimmage. So when I watch this play, just look at it from this angle first. You got a double team on this guy. Kincaid is going to triple team him and then try to go up to Jenkins here. So then McGovern goes to this guy, and then Knox just doesn't know what the hell he's doing. So watch how it happens. But now watch it from I did this on my film review too. Watch it from the angle where I think it should have been. So what should have happened was double team here. Kincaid takes this end over here. McGovern comes up the middle and gets the first guy that comes in, and then Knox gets the next guy that comes in. And then it would have been a decent gain. But instead, because this is what it must have been a mistake, because there's no way this was the blocking scheme. There's no way how this was what was supposed to happen. So,
well, I think Knox should have went inside here in between.
Oh yeah, he definitely should have. But what I'm saying is, why are you triple teaming one defensive tackle when you got four other people in the box here with two blockers?
Right.
So
completely agree.
If Kincaid stepped in front of this guy, they got this guy no problem. McGovern could step up the middle, take the first linebacker that comes in, and then Knox can get the next one, and then Cook can make a read. But instead, he goes over here, Knox just runs into his lineman, and then Cook gets no gain. I know we're talking about pass plays, but that pissed me off. that was annoying. This next play was to Dawson Knox, so I don't count that because he got the ball. So there you go. He got the ball there. I think this was the Kincaid catch as well.
This was the Kincaid catch right here.
Him in a bunch right here. Yeah. And technically Knox was open too, but Kincaid was the read and he got it to Kincaid. So I'll count Knox as being open. And I'm not counting the catches as I'm taking those out of the equation. So they got the ball, they were open. So that's 2 times they each got a catch so far, and they were both open at least 1 or 2 times. So in the 6 plays we got, 4 of the plays they were open or caught the ball so far.
So the rumor is that Diggs is going to throw an iPad at Josh Allen if he doesn't get the ball, is what we've heard. And then Justin Sanabria said that we don't use the tight ends enough, which is what we're that's what Sean is saying here. Matt Chatter says that Dawson drops it, or Dawson drops get it thrown to him, but that's what he's saying. Yep. I completely agree.
Yep. So far, not counting the catches, they were both open one time, or they were both open once on the same play, and Knox was open on another play. So that's 3 times being open. If that makes, I know it sounds confusing. So they were both in one play. If they were both open, that's 2 times they were open. So yeah, we ran 6 plays and they were open more than 4 times. I know it sounds confusing, but just bear with me here. They had 2 catches, which I'm not counting, and they were both open on one play, so that's 4. And then Knox was open on himself singularly, which is 5 out of the 6 plays. Or 7 plays, sorry. I know it doesn't make sense, but it's a confusing thing because they're both on the field at the same time.
No, it actually makes sense. So just so everybody understands what Sean is doing here, he's counting the number of plays that both tight ends are open. So you may see where you can get a maximum of 2 points out there right now. So if both guys are open, each person gets a point for that, them being open, and that's what Sean is showing you right now. And then I'm going to go with some of the comments that are in the comment section.
Yeah, I'm skipping to the offense. Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. So let's just see what we have here. Augustin Sanabria said, "Answer this: why we can beat a strong team and lose to a mediocre team?" That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
More of it was because, and I'm not taking anything away from what we saw from the Buffalo Bills out there or anything, but when you have a team that stays in London for an extra week, they have a little bit of an advantage out there on the field, and that's not exactly fair to the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Bills should have gotten to London a lot sooner than they did. That's one thing that should have happened, and you can't really take that away from the Buffalo Bills. They just didn't show up. That's plain and simple what it came down to.
Yeah, and I think we have a problem of playing down also.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, they're a good team, but they have been playing mediocre.
Yep.
So I think we just have I think we have a leadership issue, like vocally. Diggs is the only guy that really shows juice in the sideline. Even Josh, he does the tunnel breakdown, but when things are down, Josh is in the iPad on the bench. He's not
right.
He's not riling the dudes up and getting them fucking pumped up, which is fine. I mean, some people aren't vocal, some people are. Diggs is.
Right.
But Josh is still a leader. He's still looked up to on this team, but vocally, I need Dawkins to step up. You know what I mean? I need guys like Davis to step up.
Right.
All right, so who we got in the field now? Heavy package. I think just Kincaid's on the field. You got David Edwards here. And this was a blown up play, and then we'll look at I know it's just not the same thing we're talking about, but we'll see what happens here. So you got 6 offensive linemen and Kincaid, and you got 4 defensive linemen, and it looks like they're blocked. The 5 offensive linemen are blocking the 3 here, and they're supposed to shift and pass off while Edwards gets this guy. And what happens is Morse could have stayed with him because Dawkins had nobody. McGovern has this one guy. Torrance is helping Brown out here. Morris just leaves, and then Torrance is like, "Oh shit, now what do I do?" And he can't catch up. So that I feel like this was Morris being a little too trigger happy. I think what it was supposed to be designed as if Dawkins had to keep slide protecting, then McGovern had to slide again, and then Morris would. But that's not how it happened. And this is a bad play, but it happens. All right. I don't think I got Knox on the field, I believe. So play didn't get enough time to develop, but Knox would have been, if he didn't throw the ball in 1 second, Knox would have been open. So I guess we won't count that unless you think it should count for the sake of argument. But let's see if he even tries to go through a progression. No. So, which is fine. Again, it's fine. Davis was the read on this play. He threw it right to him. But to say that it's Dorsey's fault that the tight ends aren't getting the ball, Josh's head doesn't move at all. It goes right to Davis and stays there.
Right.
Yep. No progression. So Knox would have been. I'm going to count that anyway because he would have been open. Because we're in the defending Dorsey on getting the tight ends involved camp right now. I'm happy with this play though. I'm not mad. I'm just trying to explain these guys are open and they're designed to be open. They're just not getting the football. That was a run play. Now it's a knock catch, so we'll count it down as a catch, but skip it. So he was the first read on that play. It was just a dumb play. Didn't get much yards there. Okay. That was a run. Why is Shakir on the line of scrimmage blocking? I want to know that too. When Sherfield's your best receiver at blocking, why is the guy like Shakir, who's 5'5", on the offensive line blocking linebackers and shit? This was the Knox drop, but let's watch what happens. So watch Knox here. He's looking for the corner. He's running a pick play, which we could have been called for. But see how he's doing this? He's not actually running a route yet. Sorry.
Right.
Make sure everybody's watching Knox. I don't have the cool marker here or anything. Watch Knox the whole time. So he's looking at the corner. He's trying to get him wrapped up so Davis can make the play. Davis kind of screws himself out of it. He runs him into the wrong way. And then Knox is still open here. Josh threw it a little bit too late. And Kincaid did get open eventually. But this was designed for Davis or Diggs. This is a little mesh concept here. You got them both coming across. The pick was supposed to get him out of the play and receive one of these guys open. Yeah, Knox was more open. Yeah, Knox was open and he dropped the ball anyway. But he was open sooner. But the play was just, wasn't a good pick play. Wasn't executed properly. Davis didn't help him out much either, if I'm being fair. So Knox dropped it. That doesn't count as anything. But he was open sooner if Josh threw the ball. And, that was, 3 drives?
Yep.
Because I don't want to – I could do this all day. I don't want to bore people too much.
No worries.
So within the 3 drives, the first 3 drives, there was 3 catches between the 2, which I'm not counting. And then Knox was open twice on his own, and they were both open once on the same play. So they get open. This was only 20 minutes, and I didn't even get into the whole thing yet. So let's pump the brakes a little bit on saying, Dorsey's not getting these guys the ball, because from what I've seen and what I just showed you guys in just a small sample size in this game alone, they're open. Josh, there was more plays that again, I could do this all day. I don't want to bore you guys, but there was one play specifically where Knox and Kincaid were both running in the middle of the field running deep crossers, and it was that play where Allen threw it to Diggs on the sideline. It would have been a hard catch if he made it. Knox was open for a touchdown. He was wide. You know what? I'm going to pull that up anyway. I'm going to pull up that one play, just to show, if you want to start talking again, Brett, about the comments.
Yeah, no worries. I just went through the chat real quick while we were
I'm
doing
going to search for that one play, and then we'll go dive into the rest of the.
No worries. I'm going to keep that out of there. Interesting question that we did. Interesting question I'm going to go with real quick from Mad Chatter. He's asking the chat about him getting shamed for living in Buffalo and loving Buffalo Wild Wings. He was wondering what our thoughts are on Buffalo Wild Wings. This is the question for Jake Podger, definitely, and probably Mike Fortin for this one, but we'll take the reins. I'd love to know your thoughts, Sean. I'd love to know your thoughts on whether you like Buffalo Wild Wings or not.
Well, you could go ahead first. I interrupted you if you were going to say something.
No, I wanted your thoughts, man. I wanted to hear what you had to say.
Well, first of all, I love Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm not going to lie. When I was stationed in Virginia, I didn't have cable to watch the Bills or anything. So when I wasn't in the field or doing 24-hour duty, my friends and I, there was Cowboys fans, Bengals fans, everything. We'd go to B-Dubs. I would get the fried pickles, the cheese curds, and the mild boneless wings every Sunday. We'd eat and then watch football, watch our teams play. And I love it. I mean, obviously, I went to Buffalo. I've been to Buffalo a few times, but only to watch the game and come home. So I never got to experience the wings until last week. Obviously, Barbo wings are way better than Buffalo Wild Wings. However, I still do love Buffalo Wild Wings, and they have some good ass food. So, I mean, don't let people shame you, but I love some B-Dubs still.
So I'm going to go the opposite way and talk about living down in Florida and everything and where I'm at. We have a Buffalo Wild Wings that's near where I live. I live in an area where we have the #1 beach in the United States in Siesta Key, Florida. That's not too far away from where I'm at. And the weather is perfect. I mean, 320 330 days of the year, the weather's perfect. You can have the sun out almost every single day. But the problem is the food down here absolutely sucks. And I'm going to tell you that right now. Every time I go to a Buffalo Wild Wings, I go in there. The service, number one, sucks. The food is absolutely atrocious when I get it. And it doesn't taste like Buffalo Wings. It just tastes like a brand that is claiming to be a Buffalo Wing when they're in reality they're not. You can look at the Anchor Bar or even Duff's or Bar Bill we've talked about, and even the 9/11 Tavern that we've talked about a lot as well. A few questions coming in as well. I'll get into those as well in a couple seconds, but we've talked about all these different places, and we have different segments that when we do our Sunday night shows on Nickel City Mafia, we talk about the different places that to try out for wings. But to me, it just seems like the wings in Buffalo and for other areas near Buffalo, you can find way better wings in the surrounding areas than you can at Buffalo Wild Wings. So
Yeah.
Matt Chatter is asking, where in the state of Florida am I at? I live in a town called Sarasota, Florida, which is about an hour south of Tampa, Florida. We have the MTV show Siesta Key that is in our backyard. That they ended up moving the Siesta Key show from where it was to Miami, which is where they're currently having the show. Haines City is not too far away from me either. I've been there a couple times. Great town to go through. Very boring town, I'm going to tell you that as well. So I've been there a couple times. But Sean, if you have the film ready to go.
Yeah, I got the play.
Okay, let's get into that play.
Oh, man. So Knox is here, right? Just watch Knox the whole time, and then we'll replay it. See him here?
Yep.
That's a touchdown or a big freaking gain because
Big
he's
gain.
not that slow. And I don't think Jack Rabbit would have caught up to him. He would have got pretty far. But let's look at Josh. Let's look if he even looks over in that direction. So I get he had one-on-one with Diggs, so obviously you want to go there. But just look how he gets open. Like, you got to give a little bit of thought here, man. Like,
right. Not
the
even looking.
probability of that play was so small. And if Diggs was gonna make the catch when he threw it, he would have made it 5 yards down the field if you took a second to look to your left.
Yeah, if you just would have looked at Knox, that would have been an easy play.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is Dorsey's fault that he doesn't get Knox open. Just so you guys know. Dorsey's play calling doesn't get the tight ends open at all. And like I said, from what I watched up to 37 minutes again of just looking at the tight ends, and I got about 12 times that they were both totally open, counting them both together. Either both or singularly, they were at least 12 times open within the first 37 minutes of the game. And like I said, that's if they're both on the field for one play and they're both open, that's 2 times they're open on one play. And if
Right.
they're open again the next play, both of them are open the second play, that's 4 times being open. So I don't care if we ran 3 plays the first drive. If they were both open on the 2 of the 3 plays, that's 4 times that they were open. So these guys do get open. This was either a big gain or a touchdown. I guess I can't say it's a touchdown because it's, he's about 10 yards away, and depending on how Josh led him, it would have been a big gain though. This was an easier play than that. This got no gain. We scored on this drive, though. We did score on this drive, but this is 0 gain. This was at least 30, 40 yards. At least.
So Matt Cheddar wants to know, or I'm sorry, not Matt Cheddar, Augustin wants to know what your thoughts are on Ken Dorsey.
He's good enough. I mean, we had a great offense last year. We have a great offense this year. I mean, like I said, Every coordinator from offense, defense, they have blunders. And oftentimes they're trying to figure out what works best. So if you see stupid play call and it doesn't work out, they're trying to see what can we do here? Can we stem something off of this? So everybody hates the Hardy short screen passes. But what did Dorsey do? He put a wrinkle into the screen pass, which fooled the Dolphins, thinking it was a screen pass. And then Davis got open and scored a touchdown in the Miami game. That was because we kept running the Hardy screen pass that doesn't work. So it works, you know, there's wrinkles to everything. So yeah, you might not like the Hardy screen passes. They might only get a couple yards here and there, but it gets you a different play out of that. So a lot of the stupid run plays, you know, there's some dumb run plays. Yeah, there's some dumb pass plays, but everybody has those.
So you got to check out the chat real quick and how people are agreeing with what you're saying here. Mad Chatter saying Red White built a case, presented recipes. I buy it completely. Also, another one saying from Augustin saying that we don't use the running backs enough. Completely agree with what he's saying. Knox was wide open on that play. That's a touchdown. This is the problem when you have a number one receiver.
And that's the thing. Like, so I'm not arguing to get Diggs the ball because I want him to get the ball. I'm just saying a lot of people are blaming Dorsey for not getting these people open when it's Josh's decision to not throw them the football. I love Diggs getting the football. I want him to get 10 to 15 targets a game at least. So I don't hate Diggs getting the football. All I'm just saying is Dorsey does get these guys open. The plays are designed to get multiple people open to give Josh the opportunity to throw to more than one person. But he wants to throw to Diggs one-on-one. That's fine. I don't care. Throw to Diggs one-on-one. But don't blame Dorsey because Josh Allen doesn't throw the football to everybody on the team. It's a good problem to have, I guess. But like Alpha Rob said, you have to look for your players because what happened when the Bengals came to town when Davis had his high ankle sprain and he didn't have a good year last year, or he had a rough ending to a season. You took out the best player on the team, you bracketed him, he couldn't get open, and then Davis couldn't get open because he was slow and he had a bad ankle, and then Shakir couldn't do much. He was the only guy that could really do anything that game. So that's why you need to start using these guys now. They lock down Diggs though. Red White. I want Kincaid, Knox, Davis, Sherfield stepping up exactly. And I think that the difference between this year and last year is the secondary weapons we have are more sure-handed than what we had last year. McKenzie dropped a ton. Kincaid hasn't dropped one. Though I guess he did drop one when he got hit in the head in the end zone, but I don't count that because it was kind of a shitty hit. So I don't count that. Knox his drop trouble is creeping up again, but Hardy catches the ball and Sherfield catches the ball.
Yeah.
So Josh needs to start throwing these guys the football. I don't care if he doesn't feel comfortable with them yet. The only way you get comfortable is if you throw them in the game, in game situations, throw them the football. Then that's how you build a connection. You don't build a connection at practice on 7-on-7 or against a scout defense. You build chemistry by throwing them in big moments in a game. So if you throw the ball to Hardy and he catches a big pass in a big time spot in a big time game, Allen's like, yeah, I know I can go to him. If you throw it to him in practice, he's gonna be like, yeah, it's just practice. It's just practice. So I completely agree with all you guys. He has to look at these other guys to football. And Diggs is the heart and soul of our receiving core, obviously, but obviously he would want, if it means winning the game, getting more people the ball and take another reception away from Diggs, maybe if they're open. So we saw that they're open and he threw to Diggs when he wasn't open and Diggs didn't catch the ball. That would have been a extremely hard catch to make. It was a great pass and a great effort, but it was extremely hard to make that reception. But if he scanned the field and went through progression, he would have got that pass to Knox, whether it was a touchdown, which it probably would have been, or a big gain. And Josh does go through progressions once in a while. I'm not saying he never does, but that's why they're not getting footballs because he's not reading. He's, I see Diggs, bam, one-on-one coverage, bam. But yeah, so I know it took a lot of time. We got a couple things to get into. I do want to talk about, I know Brett's got more stuff planned, but the cornerback situation, right? So I see a lot of people dogging on Kyer Elam for a good reason. He didn't play that great, but let's just think about this for 1 second. how many times do quarterbacks throw for lower than like 40% completion?
Not often.
Quarterbacks get beat, all of them. There's a reason why some quarterbacks throw 20 for 21 like Purdy did, or 30 for 45 or whatever, because people get open. It's people get beat, and playing corner's hard. So I'm not going to, we gave Brown, I know it's different. Brown was a lineman and he was a 3rd round pick, and Elam's a 1st round pick, but we gave Brown 3 years to show up to the game, and he's finally starting to do that. So give Elam the same opportunity to play corner, because that's also at the same time, they're not allowing him to play his game. They're saying, you can't play physical because you're too handsy. You're going to cause penalties for us. You got to play soft zone and back off. Okay, then when I get beat, then everyone talks shit about me. So what do you want? That's the issue. They don't let him be who he is. That's like telling Jalen Ramsey, hey, Jalen, I know you're a very physical corner and you'll buck up with anybody, but you got to lay back a little bit and play soft. He'll get beat all the time too. I mean, that's how it goes. And give him time. Give him time.
I completely agree.
Just imagine nobody believes in you. Your coach doesn't believe in you, and you don't get opportunities. Like, obviously, it's a mental thing at that point. Like, you got to be able to work through that regardless. But some people aren't put in those situations often. And then he's an adult now. So, and he mentions, I've been the best player in my team for a long time or whatever. So, if now at 20-something years old, he's finally getting that, oh man, nobody believes in me. Like I'm counted out. He might not mentally be in that mind space to be like, oh fuck you, I'm gonna be who I am, because his job's on the line. If he gets a penalty, he feels like he can't get a penalty or he's out of the game. So imagine that when you're trying to play a hard position in the NFL,
right?
And wonder why he's playing the way he is. That's why. So if McDermott let him be who he is, and which is why I love the Josh Norman signing, because Josh Norman wasn't starting with McDermott the first year he played with him, or the first couple of years, and then he learned to be able to play in that system. So Norman's not going to come out and play. He's, whatever, but he might be able to mentor a guy like Kyer Elam and get him in that right mind space, because Norman was a dog. Norman would beat the shit out of anybody. He was about to fight Taylor Lewan, who had 150 pounds on him. So he's got that right attitude. So, and we've seen Elam make big plays. He won us at least 2 games last year. He picked off Mahomes in the red zone. We won that game 24-20, I think. Right.
Right.
So Elam picked them off in the end zone. That was at least 3 points. And think about it. Teron got the pick at the end of the game. We were up by 4. If we shut them down on that drive where Elam got the pick, we'll say he didn't get the pick, and they got a field goal there, then they're down by 1 when they get the ball in the last drive. They would have took that drive differently and got that field goal, and they would have won that game. The Miami playoff game, you could argue he saved that game for us. He shut down Tyreek Hill multiple times. And then that Ravens game, pretty sure he got a big pick in that game too, when we were down 20-3. So he's done stuff to prove that he can play in this league. So what's the deeper issue here is what I'm saying. Just give this guy time. Corners are very hard. Corner, quarterback, and offensive line are the hardest positions to play in the NFL, especially because at corner, the receiver knows what he's doing. The cornerback doesn't. So it's a lot harder for the corner to make a play than the receiver is. So it's a lot easier to play wide receiver. Offensive line is just tough, obviously, and then quarterback is the toughest position in the NFL, which is why they get paid the big money. Like Jessica said, he's worth $250 million. It's on him to get them the damn football. Like, we saw it in just a little bit of the film. We just saw a little bit of the film where these guys are open all the time. Like, just to go back to my high school days, I played all over the place. So when I transferred schools, I was really strong. I wasn't like, so when I was in high school, I couldn't gain weight, but I was strong. So I was about 180, 185. And I was putting up, we did, instead of the 225 test, we did the 185 test in high school. So when I transferred to my other school that I went to as a junior, I was beating the offensive lineman and benching 185. So they put me at tight end because I was athletic. I was the guy who was there before me. He was like 6'7", just always getting the ball. I was open every damn play. And it was because the plays were designed for me to be open when I was playing tight end. So I played tight end and defensive end my junior year, and then I played linebacker again my senior year after I played linebacker as a sophomore too. But I was like, man, I'm always open. This is crazy. This was designed for me to always be open. I didn't get the ball often because they threw it to we have a 6'5" receiver. I was always open though. And it was just funny where I think about this now. Like, these guys are open. They're like, Kelsey's always open. Knox and Kincaid are open. So it's up to Josh now. Josh has to get them the football. It's not Dorsey's fault. Dorsey's not keeping them off the field. If Dorsey wanted to not, if Dorsey was keeping them off the field, if Kincaid was playing 20% of the snaps and Knox was playing 30% of the snaps, that's different. They're on the field all the time because they're meant to be there to possibly get the football. So, again, I'm not mad at Josh. I don't hate Josh at all. He's still a top 3 quarterback. He's a great quarterback. He's a great player, and I wouldn't want anyone else on our football team. But instead of blaming the coach, you can put some blame on him for, offensive struggles because he is the coach, but Josh needs to be equally blamed as offensive coordinator and the head coach because he is that important to our team. And yet Jessica talks about Elam. His issue is technique, not physical attribute. Elam has always relied on his physical abilities, but you need more than that in the NFL when you work as a team on defense. Absolutely. And, as I mentioned before, I never played corner, but I run into one of my old high school coaches once in a while. He was a DB coach and played DB in college, and he's a Florida fan. So we always talk about Elam. And he says, man, I really don't get it because zone is the easiest defense to play. It's way harder to play man than it is to play zone defense. So he's confused as to why Elam can't get it together. He did mention, though, when we drafted him, he said, man, you got a great one. He was locking down Mechie and like the great players from Alabama when we played him, but he might not have it all up here, and not like effort-wise, but he might not be able to make it all come together up here. And maybe that's what it is, because playing zone is a lot easier than playing man. I can tell you that just from watching it is. But yeah, Jessica's right. He does have the physical ability. Technique can be fixed though. And that's why, like she mentioned, don't give up on him and stuff, but everybody wants to trade him already. It's like, damn, like relax.
He's barely played in the NFL. I mean, if you look back to last year, he missed a few games last year. This year, this is his first game playing in this season. I mean, do you blame him for some of the things when there may have been people in his ears telling him that, hey, listen, we're short on cornerbacks this week. You need to stay healthy, play off on the man. That might be something that the defensive coordinator is telling him. It might be Sean McDermott that's telling him, hey, you need to play off this week. Or it could have been his coach saying, the defensive backs coach saying, hey, listen, play off this week. We can't have you get hurt. We need you out there this week. But I don't want to trade Kaiir Elam. I'm not saying that we want to trade Kaiir Elam.
Brett.
I
said I would trade him in his benefit if we decide not to use him because he deserves to play football. I don't think we should just get rid of him. I think we should use him, but if they're just going to let him sit on the bench for 3 years, let the man play some football. But I get what you're saying, Jess. You got us there. But
you got us there to a degree. I'm saying, just like Sean, it's the old mentality that you say, I don't want to have a bench warmer when he is somebody that can get you something in return. So listen, if there's a guy, I'm just going to say it right now, okay? If Steph Curry was the 6th best man on his team, you have LeBron, you have KD, you have all these other guys that you have. I'm just saying, let's not use LeBron and them. Let's use, Bill Russell and Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. And then you have Steph Curry. Okay, Steph Curry is the 6th man on that team. Are you going to tell me that you wouldn't trade him to another team where he can start and he can be the big man and carry that team? Or are you going to keep him on the bench and say, hey, listen, you're in year 2. You're not going to really do anything for our team. We're just going to keep you on the bench. No, you're not going to do that. You're going to trade him and get what you can out of him and develop your roster. That's what I would like to see. Now that we've seen Tre'Davious White get injured and you've seen a couple of other injuries to the defensive backfield, then now it makes sense to keep him on the roster because we need a cornerback. And I'm not giving up on Kaiir Elam whatsoever. I'm just saying, injuries happen in the NFL, just like Jessica's saying right here. I would say
in case of injury, baby.
You keep him out there. Jessica, I'm going to admit right now, okay? A lot of respect for what you're saying and everything. You were right. You don't trade guys because of insurance policies. That's a great point.
Thank God we didn't get rid of him sooner.
Yeah, if we did, look at that could have bit us in the ass because now you have to bring in Josh Norman and Josh has to start and you're going to have to worry about, luckily we're not going up against Derrick Henry this year, but can you imagine if that happened again?
Let me put it this way. And Oliver's playing good, fantastic, right?
Yep.
So I wasn't doing YouTube yet, but I remember when he got the arrest. He didn't get arrested. He didn't get charged or anything. But when that drunk driving incident happened, where he turned out wasn't drunk or had drugs or anything, just that instance alone, everybody's like, "Get that motherfucker off our team. We don't need that shit. Fuck it, Oliver." And then everyone's been dogging at Oliver for years because he wasn't getting 15 sacks a season like Quinnen Williams or Aaron Donald.
Right.
But it took him a couple of years. He was always what he's doing now. He was always doing, but he's doing it more now. So
right. Consistency.
It takes people time sometimes. So Ed Oliver's been balling. He's been one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. Imagine if we gave up on Ed Oliver. Imagine if we traded Ed Oliver after 2 years. Imagine if we traded Josh Allen after 2 years. Imagine if you got rid of, you know what I mean? Like some people take time. And you've seen traits in Allen. You've seen traits in Oliver in their first couple of years. You've seen stuff from Elam in his first year. So for the people that just think he's done, like I've seen some cases that was just like, yeah, man, he's been terrible. He's trash. Get rid of him. You shouldn't be on the field. Yes, you should. If Dorian Williams is on the field, who was horrible last week, which obviously was his first start or his first game, and he will get better. But if you want to know one horrible guy to play and get better, why not let Elam be on the field and get better? Like, I just don't understand. He had a good pass breakup. He was horrible. He was horrible last week. I don't care. He's going to get better. I want him to get better. I want him to play. I want the young guys to play. I want Elam. I want Williams in there. I want Elam in there. I don't care about Jamarcus Ingram. I really don't. Like, yeah, he's from Buffalo and everything. Sure, you're a backup, man. You're not going to be starting. Let Elam prove himself. Give him opportunities. I don't care if he gets 3 freaking holding calls in the game. Let him play his style of football. Let him be who he really is. Because I bring it up all the time. Obviously, he's not Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner has mastered the art of being physical and being handsy and getting away with it 99% of the time. He didn't get away with it that one time in the Chiefs game, but he does it all the time, every single play. Yeah, but everybody, you can't have perfect game all the time. Josh wasn't good against the Bengals. Diggs wasn't good against the Bengals. Oliver wasn't good against the Bengals, but Oliver has been outstanding. He was outstanding last year until he got hurt, and he got banged up for like the whole year. So he had a little bit of a down year last year, but he was still good. This guy's even with Daquan Jones out for 99% of the game last week, he had 9 tackles. He was second in the team in tackles as a defensive tackle. I do that in Madden with the player I made. I made a player of I made me as a right tackle and got Spencer Brown out of there. I'm 6'7", 330, all muscle. Then I made a defensive tackle. I made him on the Lions though, and then I traded Von Miller for me. So it's me as a D tackle. I'm 99 overall. Also 6'7" and 300. I'm 350 as a D tackle though. And I think we're 7 games in. I got 16 sacks already. But Jesus. I traded Von Miller for me. So hey. Then I made a running back of me who's on the Panthers, but I couldn't. I tried trading 2 first-round picks for him. They didn't want that, so I was like, oh well, shit. Oh well. But point being, what was I even talking about before that?
You're talking about. I'm trying to remember who you were talking about, but you lost me on that. I started getting into your conversation, and then I came up. I had a comment that came up real quick that I was looking at.
Yeah. Well, basically, what I'm trying to say is, people have great games, people have bad games,
right?
But Oliver's been fantastic. Give these guys time. Give Elam time. He had 1 year last year where he showed stuff to you, Benford couldn't stay on the field, so that's a failure in my opinion. Your best ability is availability, whether it's a freak accident or not. You weren't there. So Elam got a chance, and he proved that he deserved to be on the field. Now all of a sudden he doesn't get a chance, and he gets one chance, and then they put Ridley on him. They put him on Ridley instead of Dane Jackson, who was supposed to be the number one corner at this point. Why wasn't he on him? So they put Elam on a guy who's physical, and I mentioned this in the pregame. Put Elam on Ridley, press man coverage. So man and press man are different. He played man coverage, but not press, and he also backed up a lot of times too. So he didn't get as physical as he should have been on them. So yeah, he got cooked a lot, sure. But so did Dane Jackson. They both got cooked.
Right.
And people can hate on Elam all he wants. He did do bad. He deserves criticism, but he's not playing his type of football that he's supposed to be playing. Also, I saw someone mention it earlier. If they knew this was going to happen, if they knew that he was a man-type corner, if they knew that our scheme is soft-ass zone, why the hell did you trade up for this guy? Like, if you knew he doesn't fit your play style, you met him in the pre-draft process, why the hell did you draft him and trade up for him? Like, I just don't get it. I just don't understand. So
yeah, I agree with you.
It doesn't come without blame. So it's on the coach, it's on McDermott, it's on Bean. And yeah, sure. He hasn't lived up to the first round tag yet. But Oliver's lived up to his first round tag now, hasn't he? I think so. Ninth overall pick. I think he's lived up to it. He got a second contract with the team that drafted him.
Yeah.
And everybody was. Aren't you guys glad we didn't pick Edmonds over Ed Oliver?
Yeah, I am. I'll tell you that.
Can you imagine if we paid Edmonds $18 million a year and let Oliver go somewhere else? We'd be fucked. So I'm super happy. And yeah, Edmonds was a good guy, but Oliver is a better option, and it worked out. So
yeah, I'm glad with it. And our team looks pretty good right now. I love everything that we've done. Terrell Bernard looking pretty good as well. And this team is going to be rolling as right now. I think they're going to be getting a few wins under their belt. And as Mike said, if we're not 7-3 after 10 games, then that's a disappointment for me. So I'd love to see that.
We don't got much wiggle room to drop games, so 7-3 is a bare minimum.
Yeah. Jessica brought up a point here that said that the job of the GM is to build the best roster for the year, and in the future, you never give up on a player on their rookie contract who have shown they can play unless you have to, like Boogie. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, Jessica, I would not want to, if I was the GM, I would not give up Kaiir Elam unless it was for something in return that I felt like is the right compensation for him. So, I mean, the Bills gave up a first-round pick, and that's something that I would try and want in return, but that's probably something that you wouldn't get for him. So I wouldn't trade Elam unless it was for a second-round pick after this year because he has a lot of upside. But I wouldn't trade Elam right now. I would give him another year, wait until year 3. If it doesn't work out, then that's something that I would consider going into year 4 is moving on from him and getting something in return. But it's a little too early to move on from Kaiir Elam. I completely agree with that.
Well, here's the thing, though, too, is like he's done great things and shown that he can play in the league. Like, look at the Trey Lance situation. I also was in the Army with Trey Lance's uncle, and he took a picture with I got to ask him for the picture. I'll show it soon. He took a picture with Greg Rousseau and sent it to me. And he goes, man, your coach is short as hell. And I was like, yeah, he is. But he got a picture with Groot and his nephew's Trey Lance. And, I was always rooting for him because I knew his uncle. So, I feel bad for that situation. But they traded up. They gave up 2 first-round picks and swapped their first-round pick for Lance. He broke his leg, got screwed over. Then, with the 49ers team, I could play quarterback there and win every game that I play because of who they got. But they said, you know what? We screwed up. we had the last pick in the draft and we got a quarterback, and he's been playing good with our offense because it's our system. And, Lance had a broken leg and this and that. Lance played a game against the Bears where it was torrential downpour and a monsoon, and he didn't play well, and everyone's like, yeah, this guy sucks. Like, okay, you try to play in that shit. Like, like the game was like 6-3. And the reason why the Bears won is because Justin Fields was able to run the ball all day. But whatever. They parted ways with Lance for nothing.
Right.
So they knew we're not getting. He didn't show us anything. We got to move off of it now. But Elam has shown us stuff. So that's I agree with Jess too. But I think we should keep him and let him have opportunity.
Absolutely.
Even look at Tre White. Tre White's he got beat all the time so far this year before he got hurt. They're catching the ball. Yeah, he's close to them, but they're still catching the ball on him. Nobody's talking shit about Tre White. He got beat just as much.
That's one thing that Buffalo is going to have to look at next year is, and I mean, I pray that this doesn't happen because I absolutely love Tre'Davious White, but your best ability is your availability. And if he's not going to be out there on the field, this is the second major injury that's happened to him. Do you decide to move on from Tre'Davious White because of the injuries? That's something that you have to consider as well. Wow.
I forgot about Isabella. Jessica just brought up. Sure, if another receiver goes on IR, Shorter will stay on IR, and they'll bring up Andy Isabella. I totally forgot about him.
No, I knew he was on the roster, but
thanks, Augustine. Thanks for coming on, man. Subscribe and like the video if you haven't already.
Really do appreciate you guys. All the comments that are coming in, I really do appreciate them. We're going over a bunch of these. I mean, we're up to, gosh, I got to see where we're up to in comments, but
yeah, you guys
over
are awesome. Keep the show going for sure. But so I see a lot of people talking about Pat Surtain, right? Why is it even a thought of possibility? Yeah, he's great. I mean, when I've seen him, he gets beat too. Like everybody gets beat, even the best. I mean, Ramsey was the best corner in the league last year, and Allen had a perfect passer rating throwing him the football. Diggs cooked him. Diggs cooked Sauce this year. Sauce is a great corner, right? It happens, but if you want Surtain, you would have to either sign him immediately with money we don't have, and then get rid of Poyer, Hyde, and White, and maybe Floyd. Not coming back. And then you could franchise tag, or you could give him his fifth-year option, but that's going to be still expensive as hell. And he might not want that. He might not want a fifth-year option. He doesn't deserve a fifth-year option. If he's as good as everyone says he is, he wants the contract after this year. He's not going to pay for a fifth-year option. He doesn't want that shit. So, and you'd have to give up a first-round pick at least for him. So, Are you willing to give up a first-round pick and pay this guy $25+ million a year? Xavier Howard makes $25 million a year. Xavier Howard.
Right.
Pastor Tan's going to make at least $25 million a year. Are you willing to do that? I'm not. I don't want him. I don't think it's smart. We're not in the position to do this. We don't have a lot of money. We're not in position to make moves like this anymore, unless you completely sell out and then you're screwed the rest of the next couple of years. And we shouldn't be doing that yet. I get why the Rams did it, because Stafford was on his last leg. Josh isn't. Josh is still in his prime, and he can compete for the next 4 or 5, 6 years. But yeah, offenses, I think we've seen it. Offenses wins the championships now. So yeah, Surtain's good, and he might help our defense out. But with what you have to give up to get him and what you have to spend to get him over here, he's not going to win us a Super Bowl. I can tell you that. We had the 13th second year, we were the number 1 overall ranked defense, and we gave up 40 points and we lost.
Right.
Defense doesn't win these games. So Surtain's not going to win us a Super Bowl. I can promise you that. So
I was going to bring up a good point. There's a couple of guys that are coming into the NFL draft that if I'm Buffalo, I mean, you got to look at some of these guys as well. Nate Wiggins and Josh Newton. Wiggins is a bigger cornerback at 6'2", 185 pounds from Clemson. And he's somebody that I absolutely love. We're going to get into draft talk in a little while. I know you wanted to get into that pretty early on the.
Well, that was because I was pissed off. We shouldn't be talking draft till after freaking February.
Yeah, we won't talk about it too early, but I mean, you do have to consider these guys, and you got to have guys that you are on your watch list at least. And this is the guy that's on my watch list right now. He's the 21st ranked prospect based off of CBS, and I think that he's somebody that could blossom, and he would fit into exactly what Buffalo wants to run in his own scheme as well. So if you're looking at prospects for the NFL draft, Nate Wiggins is one that you have to watch out for, as well as Josh Newton from TCU, who's a senior, 6 foot, 190 pounds. Somebody that I absolutely love and is another prospect that you're going to have to look out for as well. And then Cooper DeJean from Iowa. That's another cornerback, physical cornerback as well. So look out for these 3 players for guys that you need to watch some film on and keep an eye on them as well. Then we had a comment come in earlier in the chat, and it was from Mad Chatter talking about his thoughts on switching out Isabella for Shakur. And that's something that I think it's still too early to give up on Shakur, because I think he can bring something to this offense. I just think that he hasn't gotten the chance to do that. And I know a lot of people say that he doesn't fit the team right now, but I think that he can bring in an element to this offense. He's worked with Eric Moulds as well, Eric Moulds is an excellent wide receiver in the NFL. Still think it's too early to give up on him. He's only in his 2nd season, but he just needs to get more physical. He needs to get better, as like Jessica just said, better as a blocker, get a little stronger and learn the playbook a little better. But I think he understands the playbook. I just think that he's not given the opportunity to really step in and show what he can do in this offense, because I remember back to when he was playing at Boise State. This kid is unbelievable, and I wouldn't give up on him yet. I think you give him another year and then see what he can do out there as well. He's going to make a big impact for the Buffalo Bills later in the season. Trust me, guys. I'm going to say it right now. He's going to make an impact for the Buffalo Bills in the coming weeks. He is somebody that comes into the game and he will have a big catch that it's going to turn your heads, and you're going to say, I'm so glad that we kept him on the team. So I'm going to go against what Jessica's saying here, that Isabella should be on the team right now. I think that he will.
No, she was saying if a receiver goes to IR, they would bring up Isabella.
Well, she brought up another comment real quick that she said from Mad Chatter, that she said she wished that she could move on from move Isabella to the active roster. So
well, technically could.
Well, you can bring Isabella up and then get rid of Shakur. And then she also said Isabella did not face waivers. Shakur does, and the Bills did it this way to keep control over Shakur. And I completely agree with what she's saying. I wouldn't give up on Shakur. I'm telling you right now, he's going to be a better player than you guys think. And
guys like Shakir and Sherfield, they face the same issue that Kincaid and Knox face. They're not getting looked at.
Yeah.
That's really what it is, but especially them. Sherfield, Hardy, and Shakir, they're like, Josh probably forgets they're even on the football team. Like they're not gonna get the ball that often. That's just how it's gonna work. And I mean, think about it. Diggs, Davis, Knox, Kincaid, if those 4 are getting the ball a good amount, the other guys aren't gonna get the ball much. I like Hardy. I know we did pay too much for him, but he can't make plays. Sherfield can make plays, and Shakir can make plays, but they're not going to get the same opportunity. They're going to get like maybe 3 targets in a game. You got to make the most of that shit. I mean, Hardy's fumble, yeah, that was dumb, but he had 2 big catches. Let's use, Josh should look at him more in the deep routes. But yeah, he did pay a lot of money for him, but minus that 1 fumble, he's been solid at returning, though. Like, I've never been worried. I was never worried of him returning the football like I was with McKenzie. So, just had a rough go. But think about it also, too, with that game. If we got that 2-point conversion, then we got to go 50 yards in 30 seconds instead of 95 yards in 20 seconds. Also, that drive we scored the touchdown on, we had no sense of urgency, and we waited so damn long to get down to the field, and that we could have had at least an extra minute or so with that last drive where we were down 5.
Right.
So, but let's get into. We're straying away from the Giants. I mean, I know, I get it, but what's on the docket for the Giants Bills that we got to finish up?
Well, biggest things, I mean, we haven't really gotten into the Giants yet, so let's bring up not only the injury report for them, but I want to get into the new starting quarterback that's going to be coming in for the Giants and talk about Tyrod Taylor coming back to Buffalo. And one thing I want to bring up is, and I talked about it on my show yesterday, I mean, so many good memories that we had with Tyrod Taylor as a quarterback from 2015 to 2017. Absolutely miss him coming back, and it's great to see him. He is somebody that I absolutely love, and he's somebody that is going to make a lot of memories from when we watched the Buffalo Bills. He's somebody that not only he took the Bills to the playoffs, but somebody that I absolutely love. And Matt Cheddar asking Tyrod Beasley, who's the running back, is going to be Saquon that's going to be out there most likely.
Well, you're saying the running back for the. I think you're saying the running back for the Bills.
You're thinking of though.
Yeah. I do want to ask though. Everybody mentions how, like, I love Tyrod too, but everybody mentions how he led us to the playoffs. If the Bengals don't win that game, are we feeling the same way? Are we always saying like, man, he broke the drought? Because technically he didn't break the drought.
Right.
Dermott technically didn't break the drought that year. We had to actually hope for someone else to do something. The year we truly broke the drought was 2019 because we actually made it without relying on other people. Obviously I love Tyrod still. I'm just saying, like, if we didn't make the playoffs that year, are people always going to be like, man, he broke the drought? We love him so much for that. Like, I just don't know. I mean, he did a lot of good things.
Andy Dalton broke the drought. Let's be honest. Andy Dalton broke the drought. That's who it was.
But think about that though. Like, a lot of people talk like he was the reason. But if the Bengals didn't win that game, are we still saying, man, he was he was so great for us. He broke the drought. I mean, obviously we won't be saying he broke the drought if he didn't. But yeah, it was just Like, I still love him. And Bills Mafia should give him a big standing ovation. Hope we have like a nice video, like how they did with Zeke. The Cowboys had a nice little montage of Zeke plays. I hope we should be able to do that for Tyrod.
Well, this isn't the first time that he's coming back to Buffalo. So
it's the first time, like, starting though.
Yes.
He came when we played the Chargers. No, yeah, he was there, but then I think he punctured his lung or something.
Right.
That game. Remember they stabbed him and they tried to give him a shot and they put it through his lung.
Right.
So I don't know, but yeah, they should
He was here when we played Cleveland.
What's that?
When we played Cleveland after he got traded, he came to Buffalo. That was 20. Yeah, he was traded from Buffalo to Cleveland.
I don't remember that.
Yep, that's the reason why when Buffalo got Josh Allen and Tyrod was on the roster, they traded Tyrod to Cleveland. Look it up. I'm telling you right now, it's true. They traded Tyrod Taylor to Cleveland. He was the backup quarterback behind Baker Mayfield. Yes, it's true. It is true. I promise you that.
We didn't play. We played in Cleveland though in 19. We didn't play Cleveland in.
It was 18.
I don't remember playing them in 18 though.
I'm almost positive.
Baker Mayfield got drafted in 2009. Was it 2018 with Josh?
Same year as Josh Allen.
Yeah.
He
didn't. I don't think he started though. Did he?
Baker Mayfield did. Yeah. But yeah, they had a tribute to Tyrod Taylor.
Okay, well, they should still have another one. I really don't remember play. Like I said, I was in the Army, so I was either in the field or at B-Dubs watching, so I didn't get like the social media side of everything. So hearing all the news, I just knew he wasn't on the team no more. After the Jags playoff game, watching at my buddy's house, I was like, damn, Tyrod went out, Peterman went in. But yeah. Still, they should give him a nice little video.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. He was traded from the Buffalo Bills to the Cleveland Browns for a third-round pick that the Bills got in return, which I felt like that was very fair. But I do want to get
What did
into
we use that pick for?
we used that pick. I'm trying to remember who we got that year. That was 2018. That's a great question. I'm trying to remember I'll try and remember that off air. I'll put it in the comments section. But let's get into the keys to the game real quick. And Sean, I want to get into those keys to the game for you. Give us 3 keys to the game for the Buffalo Bills and how they can win this game.
Don't take them lightly. Don't come out flat, and wrap up.
That's very fair. I mean,
we played down a lot. This shouldn't be. We should win by 20 to 30 points easily, because they're so banged up. Also, that's why I'm talking like that. They're so extremely banged up on every position, key positions, offensive line, quarterback. Even if Barkley plays, he's going to be on a pitch count, as my buddy New York Giants talk mentioned. He'll be on a pitch count some type. So yeah, it's really just be true to who you are. Don't think you're too good. Don't sleep on this team because they're banged up. Just go out there and play good football, execute, and play the game. And again, wrap up when you tackle, especially if Saquon's playing. And then for offense, hopefully we can run the ball a little bit. And it should be a game we handle easily. I mentioned it the other day. The Seahawks got 11 sacks on the Giants, and the Seahawks have a horrible front 7, and the sack record's 14. So we should be able to break that sack record with who we got. I mean, for being realistic. But yeah, it's definitely this is a must win. Nobody's going to care if we beat the Giants by 30, 40, 50. It don't matter because we lost to the Jags last week. And that's what I was trying to mention after we beat Miami. That was perfect. You beat Miami. I didn't say Super Bowl, but this team looked like we were a better team than last year. And then I mentioned in the pregame, lose to a team like the Jags, they're still a good team, but it wipes away everything you did against Miami. And it did. So now we're back to 3-2. Nobody cares about us. We're nobody's top 5. We're not looked at as a good team by most, which is fine. I mean, we know who we are. But it does get annoying when you know how good you are and people just sleep on you because you lost the game. The Chiefs have played horrible, but they still win the games. That's the difference. Mahomes should be leading the league in picks, but a lot of them get called back for flags, and they should have lost to the Jets. They almost lost to the Broncos. They lost to the Lions. The only good team they played, they lost.
Yeah,
they beat the 2-3 Jets, the 1-5 Broncos, who else? They played another team that was really bad. The 1-5 the 1-5 Bears. Like, they didn't beat anybody that was good. So we're gonna beat the Giants. They're gonna be 1-5. Nobody's gonna give a shit. Yeah, we're 4-2. We need to win, but nobody's gonna put any stock into us beating them. So it's really just you need to dominate. You need to dominate the teams you're supposed to dominate, and you need to beat good teams. So dominate this team who's struggling and who's banged up. Dominate them on every side of the football, and then move on to next week against the Patriots, who's also another bad team who's struggling. Dominate them on every side of the football, and then we'll see this week who the Bucs really are.
Yeah,
the Bucs are 3-1. If they beat the Lions, I'm going to be concerned. I'm not going to lie, because they got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and Baker Mayfield's looking pretty good, and our secondary has been struggling a little bit against since Tre's been gone. Obviously, it's one game, but you're not going to learn anything from beating the shit out of the Giants, beating the shit out of the Patriots. You're not going to learn shit from beating those bad teams. So win these games, because we can't afford to lose any games we shouldn't lose anymore. And, one game at a time, one day at a time, go 1-0 every week. And, keep it simple.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. My keys to the game, 3 of them that I have. Number 1, you got to stop Darren Waller. That's the biggest key to the game for me. I think that he's a really good tight end. You got to lock him down. That's going to be the biggest thing. And then you got to stop Saquon Barkley. I'm sorry. Getting into my keys to the game, and I'm repeating myself, but Saquon Barkley, you got to wrap him up on offense. And then on defense, on offense for the Bills, you really got to just put points on the board and finish drives. That's the biggest thing. Put points on the board, make them have to throw the ball and use Tyrod Taylor in this game and have Tyrod beat you. That's going to be a case for Buffalo to get some picks in this game, get some sacks as well. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see a lot of sacks in this game. And the reason why is because Tyrod Taylor is more of a mobile quarterback, and I think he can escape the pocket much better than Daniel Jones. So don't be surprised if you don't see a lot of sacks in this game. But
I
really,
think Daniel Jones is more mobile, actually, though.
You think that Daniel Jones is more mobile?
Yeah, Tyrod's like 40 now, also.
He's older, but don't get me wrong. I think that he can move around a little bit more, and he has a little bit more flexibility of being able to utilize play action and stuff like that to escape the pocket quicker.
I mean, Jones did have 800 rushing yards last year. He's
True.
quick. He moves. So
Tyrod Taylor
is bad, man. Tyrod, he got the little bit he played last game. I think he got sacked. Yeah, I think he played 8 plays or some shit. He got sacked like 4 times, and he almost got knocked out of the game too. He got the wind knocked out of him, and he got banged up in like 2 plays. So he's old, man. He ain't the same Tyrod. He ain't the Tyrod of old. Keith said Daniel Jones runs better. Oh, finally Keith's in the building after.
Yeah, where's Keith? Where's Keith been? I haven't seen you in a long time, man. Where have you been?
He's
Tyrod is more mobile, is what he's saying, which is what I'm saying. I think he can escape the pocket. I think as far as pocket presence is what I'm getting to. Pocket presence, I would say that Tyrod is better in pocket presence than Daniel Jones is. I think he can elude runners a little bit quicker. I think that he's also better in staying on his feet, especially when a defender is in his face. That's something that I think Tyrod does a much better job of. I remember back to when he was playing with Buffalo. That's something that I really look into. So it'll be interesting to see. But Madge Hatter asking if Vaughn will be back. I think that Vaughn will be back out there. I know you're talking about Von Miller being back to his normal self. I think he has a sack this week. I'm going to put him down for a sack.
Everybody should have at least one.
Wouldn't that be funny if the whole entire offense or defense has a sack and even like the offensive players have a sack in this game? Like you just put everybody out there on offense just to get a sack. That'd be funny to see.
They could.
But I do want to say thank you so much to everybody for being in the chat. Really do appreciate everybody for coming out here. Keith, Mad Chatter, Jessica Tennis, even we saw guys like Trek Reviewer, Augustin, Santa Bria. Really do appreciate you for coming on. A few others that came on as well. Alan Podger. Also saw a couple of, I'm trying to think of who else was on there. Bills Fan CA as well. Really do appreciate everybody for being on the show, including John Robert as well. Really do appreciate you. The DXB, Jess as well. Everybody for being on here. Without you guys, the show would not be possible. So we really do appreciate you guys. Don't forget to smash the like button as well. And don't forget to also follow the Nickel City Mafia, Red, White, and Bills, and Go Bills podcast. Before we let you go, we'll get into our score predictions real quick. And for me, I have the Bills winning this game by a lot. I think it's going to be a final score of 48-3. Big win for the Buffalo Bills. Sean, what are your thoughts on the game? Score predictions?
Well, I'm just going to keep it like I kept the Commanders game. Blowout potential. Should be blowout, but I don't know. 28-14.
28-14. Okay. That's understandable.
But they should win by at least 20 plus.
I'd love to see it.
Issue. But I'm keeping it like that because they pissed me off last week and they got to prove it this week. And I think it was Jake and Mike who brought up the stat of the 11 teams have been to London recently. The next game they play, not counting a bye week, they're all trailing or losing, or they're tied or trailing in the fourth quarter of the game.
Wow.
So we have odds against us again. Luckily, we're playing a banged up team. So that's why I'm keeping it as like, oh, they're probably going to still be messed up and come out slow and be shitty. And they'll probably punt the first drive and everyone's going to boo them. And then, they're going to have to get their shit together. But we should win by at least like key score. That should be at least the score, 33-10, but 28-14. You know, Saquon could rip off a big screen pass touchdown, and you know, you never know. So,
Yeah.
but should win.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the Bills are going to do this week. I mean, it's on Sunday Night Football. You know, I've always talked about how much I love Sunday Night Football with Carrie Underwood and waiting all day for Sunday night. Sucks that it's a late game, but it's actually great timing for me because I got a lot of stuff that's going on behind.
Yeah, same. But after a loss, I'd like to get the next win out as soon as possible. But like you said, tomorrow I got a couple jobs that I scheduled because we're the game's late. He said the Bills are angry. Yeah, well, what do they think we are? They make millions of dollars to lose.
Yeah, but we don't get paid millions of dollars to do these shows. So that's one thing that I wish we could do. That's something that I've always said I would love to get paid to do these shows, but we don't do it for the money. We do it for you guys. So want to take a moment to thank everybody out there. Really do appreciate everybody for being in the chat. Love you guys so much. And it means the world to not only Sean, but Nickel City Mafia as a whole for everybody being out there. Our next show that we will have, I'm not sure if Sean's going to have a show tomorrow for a pregame show because he's a little busy with work. But
I might have time.
The next show for the Go Bills podcast will be tomorrow at 7:45 Eastern time. That'll be on YouTube and Facebook, as well as Sean, if he does have a show, or if Sean wants to come on to my show, he's more than welcome to. Always love you, brother. Appreciate you. You're a brother from another mother. Love everything that you've done and everything that you've given to not only Nickel City Mafia, but your channel. So don't forget, guys, go on over to the Go Bills podcast, Nickel City Mafia, Red, White, and Bills. Check them out on all social media platforms. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And Sean's on Instagram and YouTube as well. Shoot over to his channel. We're on, for Go Bills podcast, we're on 6 different platforms. I won't get into all of them, but this has been the Nickel City Mafia. It's hard to remember to say that. We'll see you next time for another edition of the Red, White, and Ruthless every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on the Nickel City Mafia. We will see you again for another show tomorrow on Go Bills podcast. But until then, Go Bills.
Go Bills is good. Back on a winning track.